I have a little saying I like to repeat to my writing students. All writing is creative. Usually, when we write a poem or a short story, we think of it as creative writing in a proper sense. But essay writing, email writing, that's not creative, that's just, writing. In fact, it's a kind of writing that's so uncreative, it's tempting to automate it. Most people don't mind too much if they're told that the email someone sent them was automated. Sure, it's annoying, but it's just email. However, if you found out an essay that you liked from a website or magazine had been written by a machine, I bet you'd be more annoyed. Teachers all over the world right now are very frustrated about the ease with which students can get machines to write their school assignments for them. Teachers have been talking about automating all analysis and feedback on student essays, making the circle complete. Writing could become an artifact wholly made by machines and wholly read and analyzed by machines. Humans would have no part in the process at all. But let's go back to the beginning. All writing is creative, or at least all writing can be creative writing. The creative possibilities, the creative decisions, the creative energy that are involved in the writing of poetry are also all at your disposal whenever you write anything, even an email, even a birthday card. I fear that the more we outsource any writing, the more we will be in danger of outsourcing all writing, even and especially creative writing. There's been talk on YouTube recently about the difference between content and art. We might think of art as creative, intentional, thoughtful, derived from passion, from hard work, containing real, enduring meaning, containing a value that can't be measured quantitatively. If we think about art this way, we might contrast art with content. Content is derivative, even haphazard, mindless, derived from algorithms and automated processes, containing only elements that are currently popular and that sell well, at least for now. Content is measurable in exact dollar amounts and streaming minutes. Art is human-made. Even if no one sees it, it's valuable. Content is viewer-consumed. Even if it's wholly made by machines, it's profitable. I've talked before about poetry as valuable precisely because someone meant it. Content doesn't need to be meant, it just needs to be bought. And corporations put their time and effort into what's bought far more than what's meant. For those of us who fancy ourselves artistic and sophisticated, corporations know that if they advertise something to appear meaningful and handcrafted, we'll buy it. And who cares whether they were telling the truth, as long as the sale is made, as long as money is made. It's very easy to look at all this and despair. And I do believe we're living in a world that is on the brink of despair-driven consumerism, where everything is available and nothing satisfies. But the paradox of all this availability is that real meaning, real value, real art are out there. They're more out there and at our fingertips than perhaps ever before in human history. You can go read the most beautiful and important poems in history right now for free on the internet. The creative, the made, the meaningful, they're all there, ready to be returned to by us. I think of students in medieval universities like Paris, Oxford, Constantinople. They didn't own books. Your own personal copy of the Iliad or the Psalms was not really an option in the culture of that time, especially if you were a poor student. The university might have 1 or 2 copies of a text, and students would gather around a teacher and listen to them read that one copy. They would sometimes, if they were lucky, be asked to read it themselves, and they would take up Homer or Virgil, Aristotle or Augustine, and they would hold in their hands the scribe's beautiful work of literary art, a copy that had been made by scribes over hours and hours and days and weeks of work. perhaps the one copy of this text for 1,000 miles in all directions. And they, the student, would get to, with their own mouth and with their own eyes, read out the words of Virgil, of Ambrose, of Aristotle, for all delighted ears. I think it must have seemed to them that here was a made thing saved by great labor from the wreck of history. And maybe for another year, another decade, another generation of striving men, this poem could endure in the human heart before the closing in of the inevitable dark. I think we can only end a meditation like this with a poem. This is a poem by Gwendolyn Brooks. It's named after Paul Robeson, a civil rights activist and a friend of Gwendolyn Brooks. Here it is. Paul Robeson. That time we all heard it, cool and clear, cutting across the hot grid of the day, the major voice, the adult voice, foregoing rolling river, foregoing tearful tale of bale and barge and other symptoms of an old despond, warning in music words devout and large, that we are each other's harvest, we are each other's business, we are each other's magnitude and bond.